wrong before. I could be wrong again. Niger. I think first we have to step back and understand that France had a major colonial presence in West Africa, in the Sahel region. And when the French colonial empire crumbled at the end of the First World War, continuing through the end of the Second World War, France offered many of these nations a pathway to independence that came with heavy strings attached. And the strings were continued French control of their economy, et cetera, beneficial relations. They had to keep their national, currency reserves in French banks in France, so France was in control, et cetera. It was basically colonialism without the word colonialism. France was still the colonial master. It was interesting. If you go, Giorgia Moroni, I think is her name, Italian prime minister, when she first came into power, she made a very fascinating presentation out of the blue that attacked the French for just this. She attacked their colonial policies and the money policies, et cetera, because all the currencies are related to the French bank, and there's no sovereignty. And gradually, nations have just had enough. There's terrorism there, Islamic terrorism. Al Qaeda is there. The Islamic State is there in a major way. Boko Haram, and France and the United States led the way in fighting this counterterrorism. But now, decades after that, nations started to get tired of this. Mali, where there's a major French military presence, is a neighboring nation to Niger, kicked the French out. Get out of here. We're tired of you. I told the Americans, leave. We're going to bring in Wagner, a Russian mercenary group. We're going to bring them in to bring this thing, because we've been working with you guys for years, and there's no improvement in our security. Our economy sucks. So they kicked out the government that was working with the French. They put in a military junta. They brought in Wagner, and lo and behold, they start winning. They start asserting themselves. Burkina Faso did the same thing. The leader said, we're tired of this government that sends everything to France, but we get nothing. So they kicked them out. They've taken control. Niger did the same thing. Niger is a major supplier. I think up to 25-30% of France's uranium needs come from Niger, and France gets it at basement level prices. I mean, it's a really good economic deal for France. And of course, Niger doesn't get anything. So, and what Niger does get goes in the pockets of the rich elite, not to the people, poverty-stricken nation. The military finally said, we're not playing this game anymore. We're kicking the French out. And so we have to look at it from that perspective. But this isn't something that happened in isolation. It's part of a series of events that have taken hold in the former French colonies in West Africa. Niger is also part of something called the ECOWAS, Economic Cooperation Organization of West African States.
West Africa.
Yeah. Did I get that right? I think I got that right.
Yep.
My memory's not as I'm okay. 62, but still functioning. But so I think ECOWAS. Well, ECOWAS, yes, it's a group for the West African states, but it's really a vehicle of European and American control of Africa. It's post-colonial colonialism, because we dictate what goes on. We manage their economies. The United States is an expert at providing aid to nations that have heavy strings attached. And we use it. We control ECOWAS like a puppeteer controls a puppet. And of course, now when Mali had their coup, we suspended their membership in ECOWAS. And Burkina Faso had its coup, we suspended their membership. Guinea, another West African state, had a coup. We suspended their membership. Niger's had a coup. We suspended their membership. And suddenly you look at the map and you realize that more than 50% of the physical space of ECOWAS ain't members of ECOWAS anymore. And that's a problem for us, for France especially, because their economy is tied to this, and the French economy is going to tank. So ECOWAS has now been told to put pressure on Niger. Well, Mali and Burkina Faso told Niger, if anybody attacks you, they're attacking us. We're all in this together. We're going to help you. Wagner's in Mali. Wagner may be in Burkina Faso, and Wagner has met with Niger, and they might be in Niger now. So now you have the Russians involved. Algeria says that they will support Niger if that's a potential lifeline for military equipment, Russian military equipment, by the way, which is convenient if you have Russian mercenaries. Because the Russian mercenaries use Russian military equipment. So you got that set up. We've put the pressure on ECOWAS they formed this military council, and they said, we're going to intervene. But like NATO, ECOWAS's military doesn't really exist. They don't know how to fight. They've never done this before. And they thought by threatening Niger that the Nigerian government would fold. Say, oh, no, please don't invade us. We're scared. Oh, but then the Nigerians are saying, bring it on. We're mobilizing. Bring it on. And the Nigerian military went, we can't do this. And the Benin military went, we can't do it either. And all the other nations went, we don't want to do this. And so now there's been a pause while the Nigerian army says, why don't we start training? Because that's the first step of the fight. We're not here to bully people anymore. We actually are talking about going to war. Let's start training so we know what we're doing. So they're in the training phase. They've funneled that down. The French, plus the other thing is ECOWAS was like, yeah, if we go in, where's our backup? France? You going to be there? And the French went, one second. And they turned to the Americans and said, hey, Yank, you going to be there with us? And the Americans went, we don't know what you're talking about, man. We don't want to talk to you about it. We have our own 1,100 man presence here, but that's between us and Nigerians. And the French are going, well, if the Americans aren't going to back us up, we're not going this alone. So France is leaving, and ECOWAS is going, what? So this is a mess. But if there is a war, and I hope there isn't, but if there is a war, it will be devastating for the region and for the world. Let me explain why. One, it's not going to end quickly. This war will drag out. Two, it'll probably create divisions within all countries involved. Within Nigeria, one only has to go back to the 60s and remember the Bantu revolt. I think I got that right. But basically, there was a major civil war, the Nigerian civil war, between two ethnic groups. And I think that you could see that explode again because there's still